I always had a feeling that something wasn't right. At first, it was just small things. The way her body tensed when I hugged her, the way she turned her face away when I tried to kiss her. It wasn't outright rejection, but it was constant, just enough to make me feel like I was no longer welcome in her space. "I'm tired," she would say. "I'm not in the mood today." "Not now, Daniel." And like a fool, I believed her. But the exact moment when everything truly fell apart was one night while we were watching a movie. Without thinking, I wrapped my arms around her, not expecting anything more, just wanted to feel like there was still something left between us. She pulled away abruptly, her expression filled with irritation, as if I had done something offensive. "Don't touch me," she said, her voice cold. "I can't stand it." Her words sliced through me like a razor. I can't stand it. I just stared at her, trying to understand how the woman I had shared my life with had reached this point. She must have realized she'd been too harsh, but she didn't take it back. "Sorry," she murmured. "I just don't like being hugged out of nowhere." Lies. We had hugged like that hundreds of times before. The truth wasn't that she hated being touched. She just hated being touched by me. And in that moment, I knew this wasn't about exhaustion or routine. It was something else. Something worse. The confirmation came as if fate wanted to erase every last shred of doubt. One afternoon, Carolina was in the shower when her phone buzzed on the nightstand. At first, I ignored it. Then it buzzed again. And again. 3 times. Too many for just a random notification. I wasn't the kind of man who went through someone else's phone. But when life backs you into a corner, all you can do is face the impact head-on. I reached for it. The screen lit up with a name I didn't recognize. Sergio. And beneath it, the messages. "I miss you. I can still feel your skin on me. Let me know if your husband suspects anything. When can I see you again?" There it was. The truth, raw and unapologetic. No doubts. No room for denial. My wife didn't want me to touch her because someone else already was. Something inside me broke. But it wasn't sadness. It was anger, cold, quiet, razor-sharp. Not the kind that makes you shout or throw things against the wall. The kind that makes everything crystal clear. Carolina didn't love me, and I wasn't about to keep pretending she did. I'm not a reckless man, never have been. I learned long ago that mistakes happen in the heat of the moment, when anger clouds judgment, and I wasn't about to make any mistakes. So instead of making a scene, I took a deep breath, stubbed out the cigarette I had been smoking on the balcony, and called my lawyer. "Marty Noose," I said, my voice steady. "I need you to draft some papers." A heavy sigh came from the other end. "Daniel, tell me this isn't what I think it is." I let out a dry, humorless laugh. "Oh, it's exactly what you think it is. I want to file for divorce." Silence. Ernesto Martinez had handled my prenuptial agreement years ago. He knew me well enough to understand that I wasn't the kind of man to make decisions like this on a whim. Does Carolina know? Not yet. There was a pause. Infidelity? I didn't answer right away. Yeah. I heard Ernesto exhale heavily. All right, do you two have any shared assets? No. Everything's in my name. The house, the car, the accounts. I just want this done quickly. Marty Noose took a moment before responding. It's not always as simple as it seems. Sometimes, when they realize you're actually leaving, they try to make things complicated. I let out a bitter chuckle. Wouldn't surprise me, but it won't change a damn thing. Just get the papers ready. I ended the call and stayed on the balcony, watching the city lights. The decision was made. Now, I just had to wait for the right moment. I went back inside like nothing had happened. Sat down for dinner with her, listened to her meaningless chatter about work, nodded at the right moments. Carolina still thought she was in control. She assumed I was hurt but powerless, that she still had some hold over me. She had no idea what was coming. So when her unease finally reached its peak and she asked, her voice uncertain, "What's wrong with you?" I looked up from my plate, met her eyes, and let out a dry laugh. "Nothing, sweetheart," I said smoothly. "I'm just giving you the same love you give me." I watched the color drain from her face. In that moment, I knew the game had changed. That night, When Carolina walked through the door, she found me in the living room. A suitcase sat by the entrance. She froze. "What's this?" I stood up from the couch, pulled an envelope from my jacket, and placed it on the table. "My divorce papers. All you need to do is sign." She didn't reach for them right away. Her eyes darted between the envelope and my face, searching for any sign that this was a joke, that there was still a chance to fix things. But there wasn't. "Daniel," she murmured, her voice trembling. "Wait, no." I cut her off, my tone sharp as steel. "There's nothing to wait for. I'm just finishing what you started." Finally, she picked up the papers, her hands shaking as she flipped through them. I watched as she blinked rapidly, biting her lip, panic settling in. "I didn't want it to happen like this," she whispered. I let out a short, humorless laugh. "Oh, really?" I said, a cynical smile tugging at my lips. "Tough luck, then." I walked to the door and pulled it open. Carolina looked at me, and for the first time in a long time, I saw something in her eyes. Regret. "Daniel, please." "Don't worry." I cut her off, my voice calm as ever. "I'm sure Sergio can give you the love I couldn't." Without waiting for a reply, I stepped through the doorway. I didn't look back. No desperate pleas. No tears. Just the sound of the door closing behind me, and the weight of her own lies crashing down on her from inside.